Alright, welcome back to Make It Mental, everybody. As my video is uploading in my extremely slow internet connected phone here, I figured I'd go ahead and make another video on my steering, and now my AC is running in the background, so please forgive the background noise. So I want to make a steering link that goes from steering knuckle to steering knuckle. Let's see if we can zoom in on that a little bit, and you can see those black vertical plastic pieces right there. So we need to make something to link the front tires together, so that way when the servo attaches, both tires can turn at the same time. There's a simple way of doing that. We can get something that looks like this. You can lay it up there, cut it to size. You can take a very thin piece of aluminum, which is what I'm going to use right here. It's lighter weight, it's more easily formed just by comparison. Let's see if I can stick these both up here for comparison. You can see how much thinner one is in comparison to the other, even though the camera does not want to focus. There we go, that's a little better. Alright, so this one here you can form a little easily, or more easily, so I'm going to use this. So the first step is to visually align the wheels. Right, just kind of visually. I may not have the camera straight for you guys. It looks like that one needs to come back. Looks like that one needs to come back. Then I'm going to take a ruler. You don't even have to use a ruler in all reality. You can use a stick with a Sharpie and just mark where you think the holes are going to be. I know the black is hard to see, but we have one vertical piece at 4 and another one in between 3/4 and 5/8. So somewhere right there, if we switch the ruler around to a more precise measurement, right, you get the idea. So I'm going to cut a piece just a little bit bigger than this overall dimension right here. It looks like it moved again, so I'm going to center everything up off camera. I'm going to cut a piece a little bit bigger than that. I'm going to bend it and then drill a couple of new holes where this will sit in place. This little piece of wood that you see right here is for my servo. I need to mark out a spot where the circuit board will sit down flat in there, because as you can see it sticks out a little bit, so I'm going to mark that out. A fellow subscriber of mine suggested to use washers or some brass tubing or maybe even some plastic tubing. A very great idea. You know, and that might be an option for you as well when using a servo of this type. I don't want to have the hassle of trying to balance 4 washers, although I think it's a good idea. I think this is going to be easier for me in my particular application. I'm just going to take a rotary tool and mark out the area where it sits high, and then use my finger drill and mount it down. Actually, it's going to sit more like that direction instead. But anyway, let's go to the next step. So I've roughly cut out a piece of sheet metal. Now I'm going to square it up and true it up, and I'm probably going to round over the edges and maybe even make a notch in there and fold it in no particular order. So here I've kind of straightened it out a little bit. It's not perfect. I just kind of straightened it out so it sits flat. This happens to be a piece of 80 grit. I got glued with just simple Elmer's glue or any kind of wood glue. Most of these sandpapers are paper, so glue it against a known flat piece of stock, and just, even if it's out of square, just hold it where it's high and then gently rub it back and forth till you get it nice and flat. You know, just rub it back and forth, then you can deburr it like so and take the sharp edges off of it. The other side, for a finer detail, I have 120. You know, why let a good piece of wood go to waste? So before I form my piece of metal, I want to take a measurement. Turn this on, 0, so we're zeroed. We're going to take a measurement. I don't know, I'm looking at using my own eyes here, so bear with me. We got 2.3 millimeters. And I have a couple of drill bits I kind of visually lined up there. We'll measure each one of those. I think this one here is a little bit smaller one, and we can clearly see there is a gap right there. Without even having to measure anything, we'll go to the next one right here. It's a little bit tighter. We can see that, and we'll close the gap. 1.9. So that's probably my closest drill bit. So when I drill my holes, wherever this is centered at, I'm probably going to have to wiggle the drill around and make the hole just a little bit bigger. So there is my formed piece. I used a rotary tool with a cutoff wheel after drilling the holes, and I just simply kind of formed it with a couple of pairs of pliers, right? Jewelry pliers such as these. Very simple, very easy to do. Now we'll fit it up there and check our alignment on the vehicle. So there it is, mounted to the vehicle. We have a slight toe-in condition, and that's okay. I'd rather have a toe-in than a toe-out condition. Let's see if we can brighten that up a little bit for you guys. There you go. So now we have a functioning piece. It's not very much steering articulation. If we look down here, we can see that the tire hits the inside right here, and the tire hits the inside right there. So we can take our rotary tool and hog that out. I'm sure you can figure that out. And the reason why I mount this piece first is because now we can determine exactly where we need to mount the servo. Like so, right? Determine where you want to mount the servo. And in my particular case, the way I designed the steering system, I'm just going to simply put a notch somewhere straight down the middle right here, because this servo horn is approximately right down the middle of this servo. And then I'm just going to run a really small screw through it, and then the screw is going to ride on the track right here. So when that servo slides left, right, what have you, it's just going to follow that track, right? And there's no suspension, so there's nothing really complicated about it. I hope that helps you guys out who might want to do something like this. There's a continuation of my Porsche. Stay tuned for the next video. I hope you enjoyed the last video of It's Your Right to Choose. It's a fundamental right. If you haven't checked that out, you should check it out. Have a good day.